up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to episode 85, I think, as he glances. Yes, episode 85 of the Old Yorkshire Geeks Friday night appointment with Fear. As you can see, I'm wearing merch. Look, Friday night appointment with Fear merch with blood and a lady. So there we go. So that's available from the merch store, which you will find in the store section on the YouTube page. Right, so that's that out of the way. I've also got a... This isn't Friday night appointment with Fear related, but I got a mug today with me silly face on, the Old Yorkshire Geek mug. So there we go. So that's more merch. Right. Anyway, right. So hang on, that's falling. So welcome to Friday night appointment with Fear, episode 85. This week we're doing Dreamcatcher from 2003. Stephen King novel adaptation. Hang on, and Win Grace is here. Drink from yourself, yes I shall. And Josh Kanapke's here as well. Awesome mug. Not this mug. That mug. Just me to be holding it the wrong way around. That mug. Oh dear. Right, so there we go. Dreamcatcher. That's what we're doing tonight. As I said, Stephen King adaptation. And that coffee cup too. Stephen King adaptation, directed by Lawrence Kasdan, directed and co-written by Lawrence Kasdan, who the man who brought us Raiders and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and he'd done other films as well before he directed this one, but this was his first big budget movie, and it kind of bombed. It didn't do well, and he says because of this film he lost out on directing other films as well. So I don't think he regards this film warmly. But anyway, let's get some info about it. So where were we? Stars Morgan Freeman, Thomas Jane, Jason Lee, Damian Lewis, Timothy Olyphant, Tom Sizemore, Donny Wahlberg, and some others as well, thrown in there. And I think it's a really good sci-fi horror film, and I don't know why it didn't do well. At a budget of $68 million, at box office were only $75 million, so technically it lost money. And the critical response, it's only got a 28% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not very good, is it? But anyway, I don't know why. Right, so is there anything else to say about it before we get on with it? No, right. Before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell, join us in the chat, all that stuff. Right, make sure we're live on the various places. We're live on Rumble. There we go. We should be live on Rumble. Live on YouTube. We should be live on Rumble. So let me check. Hey, is it going to come on? Are you going to come on? Do I have to press? Yes, we're live on Rumble. And we should be live on Twitch. Yes, we are. We're live on Twitch. There we go. And Just Connect says, just popping in to say howdy. I'm super busy running around the office, so won't be in too long or much. Oh, well, you keep yourself busy and keep yourself employed, which is the main thing. I mean, I suppose I could do these at a more reasonable time for my American audience, but like I say, it's 9 o'clock at night here, as it is. But anywho. It's all gravy until Tuesday. Oh, it's you've got a bank holiday... not bank holiday, a holiday, haven't you? Memorial Day. But for us, it's just what we call the spring bank holiday for us, which always falls around my birthday. So I think the country has a holiday for my birthday. Around about my birthday, not on my birthday. Right, where were we? Later on, I'll upload it to Spotify and Amazon Music Podcasts. I think Google Podcasts might not be working anymore. I'm not sure, but anyway. Also on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Links are in the descriptions. Let me move these out of the way. As are the links for my 2 books when I get hold of them. Silent Predator, a short horror novella about big cats roaming around North Yorkshire, a particular village, and eating people, and it's all jolly good fun. And Mercury Rapids, a light-hearted sci-fi action adventure about UFOs and stuff. They're on Amazon. Oh, excuse me. Amazon Kindle and paperback. Give them a whirl. You might like them, and if you don't, well, not what I can do about that, is there? Right. Dreamcatcher. Let's get on with it, shall we? As I said, I do like this film, but I do think it's a little bit overlong. They could have trimmed it down a bit. I think it'd have made a good mini-series, like they did with It in 1990, Salem's Lot in 79 and It in 1990, and other stuff, like what others did they do? The Langoliers, and which one very good. The other one, the one with Jimmy Smits. I forgot what they call it now. That one about aliens, wasn't it? In the woods. I forgot what it was called now, but that one. This one would have been better done as one of those, just to expand it out a bit. But it does have a Stand By Me /It feel to it, because it's all about a bunch of men who were childhood friends. I'll read the back of the DVD, shall I? If I can read it. Right, here we go. Oh, bloody hell. No, what? Because it's too bloody small. I can't read it because I'm old. I'll read the... We'll have a laugh at the IMDb storyline. This one written by Simon, it says. 4 childhood friends, Jonesy, Beaver, Pete and Henry, all share a special secret. Each year they take a trip into Maine woods. This year is different. A blizzard occurs and they recover a man found wandering around. Unbeknownst to them... So I always think of Spaceballs. But knownst to us, this wandering individual isn't the only being to be found. Now they must act fast to stop the outbreak developing and to prevent the world from its doom. So there we go. So that's the description. Right, we'll get on with the film. I make myself tiny. Hang on, I've got to... Where are we? I've got to... pop that one up and because of the subtitles. I'll make myself tiny. I think it's that one. Yes, it is. Right. And we'll get the film up. Obviously, we're not just going to watch the film. This isn't one of those public domain films we can just watch. We'll be watching it in a series of stills and talking about it and trying to remember what I learned from the special features on the Blu-ray and what I've read online. Don't know a huge amount about this film, but I'll do my best. I may play the odd snippet. What's happened there? Why is that? Hang on, something has gone wrong. I've pressed a button. I don't know what I've pressed. Is that right now? Right, we're all right now. My fat fingers mashed the function buttons. And Sci-Fi Quest has popped in. Says, get me a copy of TOYG the movie on instant cassette. Yes, it's the latest thing. Right, off we go. Let's make sure it's going to come on. Come on, when you're ready. There we go. On it comes. Right. We shall begin. We get the Warner Brothers logo in a snowstorm. They've done this before, haven't they? And since, probably. I think Warner Brothers is the one of the companies that does allow its filmmakers to faff about with its logo. Anyway, right. Castle Rock Entertainment. By the way, part of this takes place in the town of Derry, which we know from It. And I think one part of it is actually in It as well. I meant to check and I forgot. Right, but anyway. Let's get through the credits. Let's go through the who stars in it. We'll try and... Morgan Freeman. By the way, Lawrence Kasdan, there he is. Morgan Freeman, top billing, but it's not actually in it that much, really. I don't think appears in the film till about 40 or 45 minutes into the film. But anyway, he's the biggest star, obviously. Thomas Jane, you may know from The Mist and Deep Blue Sea and The Punisher and other things. Jason Lee is most famous, I think, for his View Askewdiverse films with Kevin Smith. Mallrats, Chasing Amy, stuff like that. Who else have we got? Damian Lewis, who's been in quite a few things, hasn't he? But I know him as he played Winters Lieutenant up to Major. I think it ended on Major, didn't it, by the end of the series? Winters in Band of Brothers. An amazing series. But there's been loads of other stuff. And Timothy Oliphant, most recently, I suppose, were in Mandalorian. He played Cobb Vanth, didn't he, in The Mandalorian? He's been in... what's he been in? We're in Die Hard 4, wasn't he? Were it 4? Yeah, Die Hard 4. Right. And he also played the Hitman, didn't he, in the first Hitman film? Tom Sizemore, who's been in stuff like Relic and Saving Private Ryan and what's the other one? Red Planet and loads of other stuff. Didn't he start doing like naughty films at one point? Is that another actor I'm thinking of? I can't remember. Wingray says he's most famous for My Name is Earl over here. Which one? Which one are we on about? Jason Lee? Maybe? I don't know. I like Relic. I haven't seen it for a long time, that I like Relic. I think Tom Sizemore were in that one too. Yeah. I just said that, didn't I? Yeah. And Donny Wahlberg, brother of Mark. He were in Band of Brothers as well. I can't remember the name of his character though, but it were good. We're also in Sixth Sense, which we watched ages ago. Briefly, who else? No, we'll never get the title. With stars, long exposure stars going over. Is that it? Oh, and some more people. And the producers, blah, blah, blah. By the way, we get images in this. It's showing like morphing things of animals. And it's a Dreamcatcher, the Native American first people, whatever thing that you hang over your bed and it catches dreams. We're seeing images of that, and then it morphs into animal skulls and stuff. But we also get glimpses of the bad guys in the film, which I'll probably not land on. Based on the book by Stephen King, which was the first book he wrote after his accident. Remember, he got hit by a car or a van or whatever while they were out walking in 1999. It was that long ago. This was the first book he wrote after that, so obviously it features two road traffic accidents in it. He doesn't see dead people. No. That was Haley Joel Osment. Right. But no, he did see dead people though, didn't he? I suppose. I've just noticed this. Is this deliberate? Or is it just coincidence? Or is it a bit of pareidolia? I kind of see a partial face there. Like an eyebrow there and an eye. Is that just me? Don't know. Anyway, there we go. We're flying over super fast for some reason. Over the... it's supposed to be the forests of Maine, but it was mostly filmed in... I think it were all filmed in British Columbia, Vancouver, that area. It's supposed to be Maine because it's Stephen King. That's all he knows. Right, so we begin. I think this is Thomas Jane, that we're going to see first. He's doodling a dream catcher. We learn that he's a psychiatrist and he's... is it a forest circle? Is that what it is? A psychiatrist who's listening to one of his patients. And we learn that this patient has... guilt eats. His mother passed away, and he kind of blames himself, so he's writing all this down. And there he is, a bit like me, to be honest. But then he starts talking to him. We learn that the main characters in this film are being given a gift by one of the Donny Wahlberg character. They're essentially psychic. And they can look into people's minds. So he starts using his powers on this chap and kind of freaking him out, saying, you're eating yourself to death as a punishment for, your mother dying and all that. There you go, you think you killed her. But it freaks him out and he goes running out. So, and then it gets really dark, which surprised me, because I'd forgotten it. It's been a while since I've seen this. So anyway, off Barry goes. He runs off. So this is Henry, by the way. Yes, Henry. I can't remember the full names of all the characters. I bet it doesn't say in. No, it bloody don't, does it? Let's check on here. IMDb. Henry Devlin. We've got Henry Devlin, Gary Jones, not Walter from Stargate SG-1. Pete Moore, Joe Clarendon, and Douglas Cavell, however you want to pronounce it. Right, where were we? Boo. Anyway, so it goes into his drawer, and as I say, it gets dark all of a sudden, and it puts a gun to his head. He's obviously had enough. He's going to self-delete. So there we go. And then, but his phone rings then in a kind of a jump scare. It made me jump. His phone rings, and so he decides not to shoot himself, but he actually shoots this this instead by accident. So I'd have shot myself when the phone rang, to be honest. But anyway, so he puts the gun away quickly, and it's Beaver, who is the Jason Lee character. What's his real name? Blah, 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 blah. Where are we? Joe Clarendon, but they call him Beaver. Don't know why. I presume it says in the book. I've not read the book. The only Stephen King books I've read, I think, are It, Salem's Lot, and I think I read Thinner, but that was by Richard Bachman, I think, wasn't it? But still Stephen King. And one of his others, I think it was like a collection of short stories, and I think it had The Long Walk and stuff like that. That's all I've read. I've not read this one. Right, anyway, so Beaver phones him up, and he's asking how he's going. SSDD, we'll learn what that means later on. Actually, no, I'm lying. I thought it was bloody Beaver. Oh, no, Beaver phones one of the others later. This is Jonesy phoning him, the Damian Lewis character. And Jones is a professor at some university somewhere. There he's in his office, and they're going to go and to the cabin that they go to. I think they were planning to go and see their friend Duddits, who is Douglas Cavell. He was in The Expanse, was he? Who was in The Expanse? Yes, Thomas Jane was in The Expanse as well, wasn't he? Yes, he was. In season 1, wasn't he? At least. Maybe season 2, I can't remember. Anyway, so he's in his office. He's Jonesy, not the cat from Alien, and Aliens. Anyway, this is one of his students coming in. So he's going to hang up, and there we go, Mr. Defuniak. And is found out that this student has been caught cheating on his exams. But instead of punishing him or, flunking him or whatever they do, he decides to give him another chance because, like Henry, they can look into the student's mind, see the problems he's having and stuff like that. So he's giving him another chance. So he rips up the exam paper and says, "You had flu that day, you didn't come in, so instead you've got to write me a 3,000-word essay on the impact of the Norman invasion." There you go, Norman conquest, sorry. Right, so just giving him another chance. So off he goes. Right, now we meet Pete, I think. Yes, this is Pete. I'm going to show him. This is Timothy Oliphant. Who apparently wanted to be an astronaut and has ended up being a used car salesman. But here he is, being a used car salesman. And this woman comes in and he's like, "Oh, right." So, she's coming. All she wants to know is, can he do her some new keys for her car? She's lost the keys for her car. She says, "I've got a big meeting or whatever, or a big..." I think she's a realtor or something, and she's got to show a home or something across town. But he says, "Can't get them done today, sorry," etc. So he says, "Well, let me try. I'll try and I'll help you. We'll try and find out where your keys are, because he's got this power like the others. But although he can read minds as well, he's got another power where he goes, waves his finger about, and we see like CG come out of his finger. Don't show it yet, shows it later. So he's going to go help her find her keys. So he's going through the places where she's had them, this shop that she were in. And he's going through what she bought, etc. And then they go back out to her car. He finds her car, says, that's yours, isn't it? Then he goes over. And then he says, if I find your keys, will you let me buy you dinner? And he says, at 6 p.m. at the wharf or whatever. And she's like, yeah, okay. Then he reaches down into a puddle and plucks her keys from the puddle. And so she gives he gives her the keys, and he says, right, so 6 p.m. at the wharf or whatever. He says, yeah, sure, right. And we know she's not going to turn up. There we go. West Wharf, 6:30. How close. So off she goes, and then he swears. There we go. That's what he says when it's he's bombed out on a date. That's what's happened. So, right, this is Beaver, Jason Lee. Apparently he's a bit of an alcoholic. What's Sci-Fi Quest going on about now? About Thomas Jane still. Killed John Travolta. John Travolta in The Punisher. I've never watched Dexter. But he wasn't in Dexter. He were in. If you're on about Timothy Olyphant. Is that what you're on about? Timothy Olyphant, maybe. I don't know. But he was in Santa Clarita Diet. He were in that. Anyway, right. He likes toothpicks. He likes chewing on toothpicks for some reason. It's never explained, but he's got to. It's like a nervous thing. He's got to have a toothpick in his mouth. Maybe he's just stopped smoking. I don't know. Like I said, if they'd padded it out, or maybe it says it in the book, I don't know, but if they'd made it into like a mini-series, maybe we'd have found out. But right, so he goes outside, and he phones up Jonesy. Jonesy's just heading home. Then the phone rings, so he goes back. And he's obviously, Beaver has had some like premonition. I think that's what SSDD stands for. Same shit, different day. That's one of their phrases that they share amongst themselves. And Beaver tells him to be careful, because he suspects something's going to happen. So anyway, so off he goes. There you go. He's written it on the inside of the phone booth. Right. So Jones is walking down the street. I don't know where this university or whatever it is at. It must be because he's a professor. It says they call him professor. So it must be like a university. Anyway, it must be near a meat store. maybe they are. I don't know. Anyway, he's waiting to cross the road, and he hears a voice. It sounded like a woman's voice. He says to this fella, "Excuse me," and the fella says, "I didn't say anything." He says, "All right," and then he sees something across the street. There we go, saying sorry. There you go. He sees something across the street. He just sets off across the street. We'd seen all these cars bombing about, and then he gets hit by a car, bang, like that, and we see him twitching on the floor. He broke lots of bones and stuff like that. And apparently he dies twice. His heart stops twice. There you go, they're all saying, call an ambulance and all that. And there you go, the student that he's just helped says there he goes, Professor Jones. That's Indiana Jones's dad, isn't it? That's Professor Jones. Anyway, there he is. And he doesn't die. He's not fine, but he doesn't die. They were seeing an ambulance. There you go, they've got to restart his heart. And he sees the Dreamcatcher, and then he gets a vision of. Is it going to show it here? Gets a vision of. There he is. That's young Duddits, Douglas Cavell. As a boy, we see him later on as Donny Wahlberg. He says, "Watch out for Easter Gay." And we learn what that means later. It's Mr. Grey. Right, there we go. There's Dreamcatcher. They designed their own Dreamcatcher. They've got one in the middle, which is for Duddits. And then they've got 4 on the outside for the rest of the group. It's their own special Dreamcatcher. Right, so they're all arriving at the cabin that they go to. They go once a year, and yes, it did look a bit, did look a bit like Zuckerberg, didn't it? The young actor is called, I'll tell you, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. There's two actually. Andrew Robb and Tyler Meyer as young Douglas Duddits Cavell. I wonder why there's two. Because we only see that one and Donny Wahlberg. Maybe they just look very much alike, I don't know. Or maybe it's the same person. I don't know. Maybe he's changed his name. I have no idea. Right, so they've arrived at the cabin. They go every year. Duddits has never. They call him Duddits. That's what he calls himself, by the way. He's mentally challenged. Is Douglas Cavell. That's why he says different words. And he calls himself Duddits. He goes, "Aye, Duddits." And so I might start crying during this, by the way, because it always sets me off, does this film. But anyway, they go to the cabin every year to celebrate Duddits, who ironically has never been to this cabin, but they go and have a toast to Duddits, because he's a very special person to them. Right, so Beaver's making some chili by the looks of it, and there's talking about his sexual escapades with Pete at the bingo. So anyway, so this is where we learn that the blokey blokes talking about blokey things. Pete suggests he takes some Viagra. Then he says, "What, bingo?" And Beaver says, "Yeah, there's lots of trim at bingo." There you go. But anyway. Meanwhile, Henry is getting some wood in for the fire, and Jones is helping him. By the way, it's 6 months later. Forgot to mention that. 6 months later, they're up at the cabin. And as you can see, he's alive, but he's got a limp and all that. He has been injured. And what had happened is going to tell him now. Jones is going to tell Henry, he says, "You've been thinking about Duddits more than usual." He's going to tell Henry that when he had the accident, when he stepped out into the traffic, he saw Duddits on the other side of the road, the young version of him, beckoning him. And he saw him as they first met him, which we're going to see in a bit. He saw him as they first met him, and he was like beckoning to him for him to come to him. So he says, "Why would Duddits want me to step out in all that traffic and all that stuff?" So is there a reason for it? And we learn that there is. Right, so because Duddits is super special, not just special, he's super special. So anyway, he's telling him that. There you go. That's what he saw, and he stepped out and got run over. Hey, there you go. Maybe there's more to the story we don't get yet. That's a bit of an understatement. Right, so they're going and they're enjoying themselves, talking about films and stuff like that. And I learned that Beaver says he's got a constant Woody, not the fella from Toy Story. There you go. But anyway, so they're all having fun and telling blokey things. And then I think they have a toast to Duddits in a bit. They talk about that Jonesy's got a memory warehouse. Apparently they all had a memory warehouse at some point. But only Jonesy's kept his up. I don't know. I don't really understand. It's not. You know what I'm like with my memory? My memory's been condemned. My memory warehouse, like his. But Jonesy's still got his, and he goes in, and apparently he says he's got to throw things out. When he learns something new, he's got to throw things out. It's not quite how memory works, is it, really, when all's said and done? He's got a furnace or whatever in his memory warehouse, and he burns old memories, like whatever. And there we say, there's a visual representation. It becomes a major part of the film later. That's a visual representation of his memory warehouse. There we go. What did he have to take out? That was rock and roll lyrics. That was it. He was going to show it. Was it chuff? Oh, there we go. his rock and roll lyrics real and misremembered. And to throw them out when he got his new laptop. And it turns out he had an Apple. Look, Apple G3 laptop. How the damn thing works. There you go. So there we go. So he's got his memory warehouse. And there's his other things that he's got in his memory warehouse. Sports humiliations and all that. Apparently, in the book, Stephen King describes Jones's memory warehouse in a linear fashion, like a big warehouse, like we saw, I suppose, at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, a big, just single level space. But for the film, the production designer thought it'd be more interesting to have it in like a spiral. So he's got this like spiral staircase or whatever going round his memory warehouse. It's like it'll look more interesting. So that's what it is. So there we go. And then we get the Dreamcatcher thing at the top. And there he is burning his memories. And they say, you threw out the Blue Bayou lyrics. And then we learn, no. But then Blue Bayou's important to them and to Duddits, the song. And then we learn that if he can't let go of something, he's got his special secret room that he stashes things away in. There we go. And we see this room again because this is it's based on a real room that is from their childhood. We know that because of this picture here and this map of, I presume it's supposed to be Derry. But there we go. That's his secret room. There you go. He's put his Blue Bayou lyrics in a drawer. What else has he got in here? Now, I didn't pause it when I was watching it earlier on. So what else we got? Bank pin numbers. There we go. Bathroom obsessions. Mom's hiding places for money, for dollars. What does that say? Can't read that one. Can't read that one. Something gun targets. Oh, live BB gun targets. That's what that is, isn't it? Late night snack, stash, punk, 60s folk, Orbison classics, and Blue Bayou. There we go. On heavy metal at the yeah, heavy metal at the back. Got heavy metal in his special room. Good old Jonesy. That's showing it. Look, that's another representation because we see him looking out of the window of his memory warehouse at various points in the film. Right. They're talking about Duddits. They're always talking about him. He's never been there. You know, the class it as his place, but never been going for 20 years, and they hope to go for 20 more. So raising a toast to Duddits, our Dreamcatcher. They say there it is. Oh, and then we have a flashback. I say it's a lot like Stand By Me or It, with showing them as a group of young boys. So they're going to go to this Tracker Brothers, which is apparently in the 1990 It, and I meant to check before tonight's show, and I forgot. So apparently this is in the 1990 It miniseries, but Tracker Brothers in Derry. So they go in there. They learn that there's a picture, a cheeky picture on a wall in the office, the one that we've seen that is Jonesy's special room. But anyway, this is young Beaver. He finds a shirt on the floor, and he says it's new. That's Pete. I says, so what? And then they hear somebody crying out in pain, or they find a lunchbox, a Scooby-Doo lunchbox, and then it's got an address on it. If the boy I belong to is lost, please bring him to 19 Maple Lane, Derry. And we learn that it's Douglas Cavell. And then they hear screaming, they go round, and they see him being picked on by some big lads, and they want him to eat a dog turd because they're being horrible. Obviously, he's resisting, so they stick up for him. And I say it's very Stephen Kingy. They stick up for him, and the face off the bigger boys, and the bigger boys retreat. Pardon me. They threaten them, but they say Pete is the fastest runner around, and he's going to run to his mother's and call the police and all that. And one of the lads is a quarterback in the school team. He says, what would happen if everybody knew that you'd done this. So they back off, and this is how they make friends with Douglas. There you go. There's Beaver being all tough. Let's kick their asses. Anyway, so they've saved Duddits, and so they sort him out, and they become his friend. Oh, but he's all freaking out a bit, his Duddits. So Beaver sings Blue Bayou to him, and to calm him down. I'm going. I am. It sets me off. Hey, and then he gives his little Scooby-Doo lunchbox a kiss, because that's what he loves. We see it again later on in the film when he's all grown up. And so they take him home, and that's how they become friends with Duddits. But first, they've got to go and see this picture that's on this wall of this cheeky lady. No bounce, no play. We've got to remember that for later in the film. Somebody asks, what is this? They want to know somebody's identity later on. Is it to prove who you are, what did it say on the wall at Tracker Brothers? No bounce, no play. So they go and look in, there it is, and they say, there you go, they see there, and there's the picture. And I don't know if it's going to show it. There she is, I don't know. It's just a picture of a girl, isn't it? It's not particularly cheeky, but anyway. I said, is this what we've come all this way for? And then said, no, we came for him. It's all about destiny. They've all got a destiny. And it was their destiny to come across Duddits and all that. So, right, then we cut to there we go, Gosling's Market. This is in the local town near the cabin where they're staying. They've gone for supplies as Henry and Beaver, I think. No, Pete. Yeah, Henry and Pete have gone for supplies. They've gone for beer and hot dogs, basically. There you go. And this chap, who kind of reminds me of John Carradine, but not quite as zombified, but kind of reminds me of John Carradine. I don't know if he's the storekeeper, or I think he is. He's telling them there's a storm coming in, and he's telling them, all this information about it just by looking at the sky. So they're going to get straight back. So off they go, back to the cabin, on the snowy roads. And then we see, is this Beaver? Yes, Beaver. Him and Henry are out hunting. They've gone hunting. So he's miles away, and there's Henry in his hide, just relaxing. And I think he sees a deer, but I don't think he shoots it. He just lets it go. Because he's not wicked. But then he sees a fella. Or does the deer... I think the deer might get scared off by this chap. Have a look. So he's ready to pull the trigger. But then this chap appears. I can't remember his name. Is it Rick or something like that? Yes, Rick McCarthy. Played by Eric Keenlyside. He appears, not looking very well. Jonesy almost shot him. But he goes to see if he's okay. And he's farting and burping and all sorts. And so he says, he's been lost in the woods for 3 days. He was with some people, but he can't find them. So he takes him back to the cabin, and he's all burping and farting and all that stuff. And he unbuttons his top, and then we see, if it's going to show us, his chest is all out here, all distended. But that soon changes. There we go. We see his chest. He's got a big chest. But later on, it moves down to his gut. The deer should be scared of Josh Temple. Yes, it should. It should, those poor deer that Josh is going to be tying to the bonnet of his truck shortly. Anyway. He says, as I said, he's burping and farting. He says he ate some berries and they upset his stomach. And then we see he's got this rash on his face. that gets bigger. And he says, that happens when something, I can't remember. He says it happens to some, but it's not that reason that he says. I've forgotten what he says. Right. These lot are heading back. Pete and there's Pete in here. Pete and Henry are heading back. I think they're talking about. They end up talking about Duddits again. He's talking about what happened the day that the day that Jonesy got hit, and he says, he's scared scared one of his patients off. I don't think he tells him about that he was going to shoot himself, but anyway. Right, so Beeve comes back from his expedition, empty-handed, I think. Jones introduces him to Rick. He's giving him some soup, by the way. He's giving him some soup and looking after him. It gets worse and worse. He's all burping and all sorts. And I think there we see it's already his big chest has gone down to his gut. It looks more like me now. But anyway, so they decide to get him to bed. There we go. So they get him off to bed. There you go. They settle him down and they tell him the bathroom is the third door down the hall and all that stuff. And they gives him a bucket in case he's going to bath. So they just leave him. And then we see there's guts moving about. And as soon as they're out, they go running to the door because it must stink in there from Rick's farts and burps. So they're laughing about it at the moment. But then Jones says, when he arrived, his chest were all up here, and then now it's gone down to his gut, and something's weird. And he say, I wish Henry were here. And he says, well, he's a psychiatrist or therapist or whatever. He's not an intern. He says, he went to med school, did you? And Jonesy says, I thought about it. Anyway, meanwhile, they're heading down the road. There we go. I think they get to a snowdrift. Yeah, and he says, power through, put your foot down. So they do that. Hang on, I might have gone too far. Just as they get through it. There we go. And there's somebody sitting in the middle of the road. What the hell is what you'd say, wouldn't you? If you were like on a snowy road, barely couldn't control the car, you go, what the hell? She saw somebody there. Anyway, they just miss. It's a woman, it turns out. They just miss her, but there go, bang. Kind of reminds me of Misery a bit. So they're upside down now. And Pete thinks he's broken his leg. It turns out he hasn't, but he has. He's bumped and bruised. He's hurt. So anyway, they get out. Bumped and bruised. It says his leg's not broken, but it does hurt. This is Jonesy doing some doodling back at the cabin. Smelly belly is written there. And they're telling him about this red mark on his face that got bigger, and I'll get to it later. Then as they're looking out the window, all these animals start running by for some reason. Bears and deer and rabbits and birds and all sorts of things. I said, well, what's happening there? And they said, well, and they've all got this red splotches on them of all these animals. You can't really tell in the film, but they say they've all got that red marks on them, like Rick had. Anyway, so they're going to go see about this woman that they nearly hit, and she's not responding to them. So Pete just basically shouts in her face, but then she comes to life. She's farting as well. Yeah, she's farting as well. But she comes to life, so they take her to safety to this shelter that they must know that there's there nearby. They're wondering, what are all these animals running from? we find out. But then a helicopter flies over, so they try and the wave at the helicopter, say, "Come down here, we've got a man that's injured and he needs medical attention." But the fella on the tannoy, whatever, just says, "This area's under quarantine. It'll be all sorted within 48 hours. Thanks for your cooperation," and flies off. So like, what the hell? There you go. So obviously they won't land and take Rick away. Rick. Right. Meanwhile, back with Pete and Henry, they're taking this woman over to this shelter, whatever it is, a wood store or something, I don't know. Plonking her down. They build a fire, and Henry's going to head back to the cabin and get the snowmobile, or whatever you want to call it, and come back for them. So off he goes. Leaves Pete looking after the young lady. Right. So they come back in after watching the animals in the helicopter, and then they see there's blood on the floor. Oh no, what's happened to Rick? We get to the ickiest scene in the film. Probably. And it's a scene that, like, Stephen King in the documentaries on the Blu-ray kept saying, nobody had ever, this was like one of the forbidden doors. In the olden days, we never saw bedrooms in movies. Although he did. And then you never saw bathrooms. Oh, he did. And he says, I want this to do for bathrooms what Psycho did for the shower. I thought, well, but Psycho in the bathroom. There was a toilet in there. We saw it flush. Anyway, I think he's just on about what we see. Anyway, so all this blood. So they're going to check out the bedroom first. And, hang on. Just a minute. If it shows us. Come on, show us the bloody bed. They're going to check out the bedroom. No, they're not doing this. Let's go back. We see there's all blood and stuff on the bed. In a minute. There we go. All blood and all that on the bed. So something bad's happened to Rick, hasn't it? And we see the pillars all stained. So they go and check the bathroom out. And it sounds, well, it doesn't sound okay, but he's alive in the bathroom. And he says, I'm all right, I just need, basically just need to go to the toilet. And he said, where are you bleeding from? He said, I'm not bleeding, despite all the blood on the floor. So they said, they're going to break down the door. There you go, bleeding, I'm not bleeding. But obviously he is. So they break down the door. There you go, 1, 2, 3. And in they go, and then there's all blood and weird, like, fungus everywhere. And Rick not looking well on the toilet. There's all that there. Kind of reminds me of the red weed from War of the Worlds. Because this is what we're going to come across in this film. I don't want to spoil it, you see, but as we get there, we'll get there. But at first, it's like this fungus that's spreading across the bathroom through the blood. There's Rick, not looking well on the toilet. His face is all red because of the rash, but he's not responding to him now. He was saying he's still alive, and he doesn't look well. And I think he's not alive anymore. But they said they hear something plop into the toilet. And then, as if he can still do that, he must be alive. He dropped a clinker. Jason Lee's got the funniest dialogue, thankfully. Anyway, so he goes up to him. They go up to him and give him a nudge, but he just falls off the. For God's sake! He just falls off the toilet. There he goes. Off he goes. There we see his bottom all splayed open as though something big's come out. I'll get off that now. Thankfully, we didn't see much of it. But there's something in the toilet, and it's going to come out. So they close the lid quickly. But something is in. It tries to get out. So Beaver sits on the bog to stop it. And he says, good move. Nowhere to go but the septic tank. So he flushes the toilet, does Beav. And obviously it don't work. Still something trying to get out. This says some tape. We've got some. I forgot what he calls it. It's basically duct tape or duct tape, whatever you want to call it. Some in the shed. We can tape the toilet lid down. Jones is going to go. And Beaver says, no, I'll go. I'm faster. We'll swap places. And he says, no, I'll go. If anything happened, you're better equipped to fight it off. Because he's injured, remember, from his accident. He gets his toothpicks out, and just as he's going to put one in his mouth, there we go, the thing goes like that, tries to get out, and makes him drop all his toothpicks. And they all land on the blood. They're all contaminated now. Apart from, I think there's 2 have landed on a clean tile. Anyway, so Jonesy got their friction tape. Is that what it's called? Friction tape. Never heard it called that before. Anyway, so he's going to go to the shed to find that. So off he goes. So he's got to sit there now with no toothpicks. So he's fed up. But then he sees 2 have landed on this perfectly clean tile. So he's going to try and reach for them. And obviously he can't because they're just out of reach. Meanwhile, Jones is rummaging about in the tool shed. He still wants to get them because that's his obsession, isn't it? He calls out to him. He says, Jonesy, hurry up, you bloody hell, and all that. And so Jonesy replies by honking the, like bicycle horns. Them horns, So anyway, so he's going to try and get to them. He's determined to get these bloody toothpicks. And obviously it goes wrong and it pushes him off the toilet. His glasses go on the floor, look. And whatever's in the toilet, I think, gets out. Absolutely, yes. And we get a glimpse of what it is. They call them weasels in the behind the scenes. That's they call them that in the film as well. I don't know why. Looks sod all like weasels. Anyway, one of them, it gets him, as we'll see. Oh, for God's sake, I'm going to show it. We just get quick glimpses like that, but we do see it in a minute. And it bit him, there you go, on the back of his neck. So he picks his glasses up, and this is a nice scene because it's kind of demonstrates, that's kind of what like my vision is like without my glasses. And then he lifts, there we see that there. And he lifts his glasses up, and we see the beaver. Not Beaver, Beaver, that's him, isn't it? He's called Beaver. We see the weasel. And the based kind of on like snakes and I think lampreys and stuff like that. Icky, horrible things. But this is what we're seeing. This is the creature, or one of the creatures. It turns out they're aliens. This is one of them. This is like, what would it be? I'm trying to think of the life cycle. We see eggs and we see baby ones, and then I think they become those, and then they become all the bigger ones as well that we're going to see. Mr. Grey. Anyway, there you go, he's seeing that. And it goes for him, but he stops it. There you go, it knocks him down there. It's grabbing hold of him. They've got these like spikes on the tails, a bit like what they call them, earwigs. They'll have like spiky tails, don't they? Anyway, he's fighting it off. I think he gets a mop or something. There we go. Gets a mop and it just bites through the mop. By the way, it's a combination of live action puppetry and stuff and CG, which I think is quite effective. Just as Jonesy comes running in with the tape, he sees all this going on. Like, what the? But it just attacks. Jonesy's shouting at him saying "Go!" But it just basically kills Beaver. Did I say that before? Beaver tells Jonesy to go, to run. There you go, Jonesy, get out of here. And it gets him. As they say, get out, shut the door, and it just takes him out. He goes over the toilet. Oh, for Pete's sake. We see his feet. Where is it? Come on, show us. There we go. We see his feet. We hear like crunching, so we think, oh, that's the end of Beaver. He stops he stops moving. So beaver's being killed, and the weasel comes back out, and it pulls the door shut, and it's banging on the door and trying to bite through the door, as we see in a minute. There you go. There's its tail things coming under the door. There you go. You killed him. And it's trying to bite through the door. And then the door handle comes off, and the door opens again, as we'll see. There we go. And it slinks out between his legs. Then we see a shadow pass over Jonesy. He turns round. So we get his first look at Mr. Grey. There's two Mr. Greys. There's Mr. Grey A and Mr. Grey B. This is the behind the scenes thing. We're going to see Mr. Grey A. Here comes the weasel, goes up these translucent legs. Kind of remind me of the aliens that we came across in the pilot episode of Dark Skies. Remember that series? I used to love Dark Skies. Only lasted for one season, then got cancelled. Maybe it was too close to the truth. Who knows? But anyway, kind of remind me of those a little bit. So up it slinks, and then we see the head. Your typical, alien grey head. We call him Mr. Grey. There he is. He's transfixed. Says, I think he says, "What do you want?" And there you go. And it leans in close to him, and then this happens. In a minute. It always takes too long, doesn't it? There we go. That just disappears into a cloud of red mist. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here now, to be 100% honest. Oh, let's have to have a drink. Dear, better. It bursts into this. I think they call it a virus cloud in the behind the scenes. But we hear Jones gasping, and then we see it's like going into Jones, and then we get a glimpse of Mr. Grey B, like it's true form, but it goes into Jonesy, which I'm not sure exactly how it works for later on, but we'll get to that. Right, the military's arrived in town. There they are. This is the Blue Boy unit, or something like that. They call them. This is where we're going to get to meet Morgan Freeman and Tom Sizemore. There you go. They're taking over, and they're taking in the townsfolk. They've all been infected by the aliens somehow. There we go. Photos. Animals, humans infected by the red weed. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. There you go. That's where we look. It's called Curtis. Colonel Curtis is Morgan Freeman, and Tom Sizemore is Owen. I don't know his rank. I've forgotten. Pardon me. Tom Sizemore, where are you? Lieutenant Owen Underhill. Underhill's related to the Bagginses. I don't know. Anyway. So it's all smiles, but essentially Morgan Freeman's the baddie of the film. He went through a phase, didn't he, where he played baddies in films? Well, he did a couple anyway. This one and Outbreak. Were they about the same time? I don't know. I can't remember when Outbreak came out. This is 2003. When were Outbreak? I'm going to have to check. Were it before or after? I think it was before this one. I think it was the late 90s, wasn't it, Outbreak? Oh, why 1995? Bloody hell, 8 years. I went through a phase where he played a lot of baddies, 8 years apart. Never mind. Anyway, they've been rounding up the local people and keeping them under observation. And we learned that this sort of thing has been going on for, I think, 25 years or something like that. That's how long Morgan Freeman's been involved with it. So they must have a lot of these incidents with these alien spaceships landing or crashing, and they've got to go in and deal with it. And it's kind of driven him round the bend a little bit. But anyway, so we learned that they can't get anybody. They can't let anybody get out of the quarantine zone. So there we go. Oh, and this is where he's talking about how the aliens can influence your mind and how you make you perceive how they look. Might not be actually how they are. I think the Mr. Grey Bee is their true form, but they use the, like he says there, the standard grey boy look to look like what we think aliens are supposed to look like. As I said, it's kind of confusing later on. But anyway. They call the red stuff, what I call the red weed, they call it Ripley. It says after the broad in the Alien movies. I've no idea why. Doesn't say. I don't know. But that's what they call it. Maybe it tells you in the book. I've no idea. Anyway. And we learn that the General Matheson, Owen has been in a meeting with General Matheson. He's just come from there. That General Matheson has differing opinions about how to proceed, and that some people might get better from the whatever. They don't all end up like poor Rick and this woman that the others have found. That's where we learn the shit weasels. But there you go. They only grow in a small percentage of the exposed population, so most people will recover. They'll get better. It'll probably just clear up, I suppose. But he says, well, how do you know who's going to recover? Anyway. So, I think essentially what they're going to do, basically just going to kill American citizens. That's what they're going to do. That's what they think is necessary to save the rest of America. Also similar thing to what he did in Outbreak. He wanted to drop that fuel air bomb, didn't he, on that town to stop the virus spreading. Anyway, all right, they bring this young chap in. Corporal Maples is disobeyed, well, not disobeyed orders, but made a bad call. He let somebody through the quarantine zone, and so he's giving him a dressing down, so he's got to be punished, and basically shoots a hole in his hand because he's mental. So instead of giving him a court-martial, he just shoots him in the hand, and I suppose they'll take him to the medic and all that. Like that. Hang on. Scouts on there. Bang. And they go, lie to me again, you'll face a firing squad. Because what happened, this woman that he let through, this woman and her daughter that he let through the quarantine zone, they said they'd not been in the zone or whatever. They were somewhere else, they got lost or whatever, and they'd not been in the quarantine zone. So he let them through. He took their word for it. But the colonel says they're in the barn now, covered in the Ripley. So anyway, there you go. She's down at the barn right now, crawling with the Ripley. Anyway, right. So it tells Owen that he's going to lead the assault because he's going to retire. Apparently, he's retiring. So Owen's going to lead the assault and take over from him tomorrow. Because he's his protege, is Owen. Because they're going to take the helicopters, gunships out to go and deal with the alien spaceship. So that's what they're going to do. Right, meanwhile at this store, old Pete's having some beers. He's had quite a few, don't know. Must have had them in his pockets or something. He's drinking beers and talking to this woman who's now laying down. I think she's dead now, and whatever. The shit weasel's come out of her, but he hasn't noticed. There we go. It's gone into the snow. We see it moving about in a bit. This is. We see Jonesy come out of the on the snowmobile. There he goes. Out he comes. Whee! And he pulls out a a hat. He looks very serious there. He pulls out a hat, puts it on, and is instantly changes for some reason. Don't know why. There he is. Starts smiling and looking round. And what happens is the Mr. Grey is inside him now, controlling him. And Jonesy's trapped. The mind of Jonesy's trapped in his memory warehouse. So that's why that's important. And when he's being Mr. Grey, he looks like that and speaks with an English accent, because Damien Lewis is English, in case you didn't know. Speaks with an English accent. Apparently he said he was doing an impression of Anthony Hopkins, who's Welsh, but never mind. So anyway, so off he goes on his on the snowmobile. He's talking away to the lady who's probably quite dead. And he's going to start talking about Duddits for some reason. But as he's talking, we see. Go back a bit. Back a bit. We see under the snow. The shit weasel. I'm going to call it that from now on. And he's telling her all about Duddits, and that Duddits gave him a gift to know things, basically to read minds, and also, to peek and find things with his power. And the thing were under the snow, and it were heading towards him, or heading that way, and the bottle stopped it, so it goes in that direction. I don't know. So he's going to tell her, but then he changes his mind, and he decides he needs a wee. So he's going for a wee, and he writes out Duddits' name. There we go. In the snow. Never eat yellow snow. But just as he's doing that, the shit weasel bursts out of the snow. There we go. Onto his John Thomas. So he's been bit by it. So he rolls into the fire to get it to come off, which it does, and it slinks off back towards the woman. Anyway, he picks up one of the embers. He does check himself. He does check his oh God. So it's probably not pretty down there, but it doesn't show us. Anyway, it comes out. Does the beast? Here it is. There it is. I think it goes for him again. I can't actually remember. Yes, it does. It goes for him. That's it. It starts biting his face, the side of his face, and he uses the ember from the fire to burn it off. Hang on. He's going to show it. There we go. He uses that to burn it off. Anyway, right. Who's this? Is this Henry walking back? It is, isn't it? I think Henry's still walking back to the cabin, and then he hears the sound of the snow plough. So he says, "Yeah, it's I don't know how he knows it. I think he says it's Jonesy. Yeah, because the connector. Remember the connected, and they can essentially hear each other's thoughts. And Jonesy's here to save the day. Does the Mighty Mouse thing? Mighty Mouse, come to save the day." And then he obviously realises, hang on, something's wrong here. You're not Jonesy. So he goes and hides. There we go. So he goes and hides, and Jones just goes by on the snowmobile. And so he's like, what's going on here? And then they have a little conversation. There he's talking. Mr. Gray's talking to Jones, because Jones is still in there in his memory warehouse. And we have a visualization of Mr. Grace, essentially chasing Jonesy around the memory warehouse in a bit, trying to learn his thoughts. But anyway, Jonesy gets to Pete and finds that he's not well. He's not well. Obviously, Pete doesn't know that this is essentially not Jonesy. Maybe he's just. Maybe it's because he's hurt and he's not thinking straight. I don't know. Maybe it's the signals are not getting through. They do eventually, but actually does say, yes, he says, "You're not Jonesy," I think, something like that. And Mr. Grey essentially just takes over, he starts speaking in his English accent, and needs him to get on the snowmobile. And we see that Mr. Grey has some sort of power with this stuff that's on him, and he can make it hurt. So anyway, so he wants to know, he's got to head to Massachusetts. So this is where we see Pete's power with his finger, look, and it points in the direction of what he's looking for. And there we see there. There we see that way, kind of hokey, I suppose, but right. Aladdin doesn't know who taught him how to do that, because he hasn't found Duddits in the memory warehouse yet. Right, so there we go. He's looking. There we go, looking out through him. He's locked himself in his secret room, and there's Mr. Grey slinking about the memory warehouse. So anyway, right. Henry's arrived back at the cabin, and he finds it's a sight of disgustingness. There we go. We see the red weed growing over the Dreamcatcher. You can see it actually visibly growing. Let's just check, make sure we're still going. Make sure I haven't got a copyright strike. Nope. We're still going on YouTube, and we're still going on Twitch. Yes, right. Anyway, so I was thinking, what the heck's happened here? And then he finds, he gets the gun. It'd be Jones's gun, because he were out hunting, wasn't he? He finds Beeve in the toilet. First he goes to, I don't know, is that on the bed? I can't remember what I can't remember what I was looking at there. Something pulsating. There you go. He finds Beaver in the toilet. Oh no, what's happened here? That's it now. He looks in the bedroom now, and we see that the shit weasel has laid eggs. And so he shoots it. He shoots it, and then he's decided he's going to burn basically burn the cabin down. He's got some lighter fluid, and burn the cabin down. And then he sees some have already hatched behind the pillow. Some have hatched, so there's going to be little ones scurrying about in a minute. There they are. Look. Anyway, so basically, he just sets fire to the cabin. There he drops all these matches. They're always dropping things, aren't they? But there you go. He sets it on fire. There we go. The cabin's ablaze. So long, Beeve. That's one down. And then a flashback of them making their Dreamcatcher, and then that's what Duddits calls them. Eva, any, owns the eat. Right. So. Right. So then we go to a girl's gone missing from the school that Duddits goes to, like a special school. And she's gone missing, and they can't find her. So they're going to use their powers to go and find her. There we go. Josie Rinkenhauer has been missing. Oh no, I forgot to look on this board. See if there's anything interesting to read. Cutting of beef, pigs, sheep, deer, moose, caribou, and bear. One small tabby cat on Thursday. Her name is Kitty. If you find her, there is a reward. Please call Cat at 732-9066. Thank you. So if you've seen Kitty, give Cat a call. Anyway. So Pete's going to use his power. Duddits sort of like, he's like the hub of their powers. There we go. All the hands start glowing. Look, or is it just Pete's hand that's glowing, or is that Beaver's hand? Whatever. Beaver collapses. The others are crying. Some of the others are crying because of Duddits' powers. Anyway, right. Oh, and it says, we've got to save the girl. And Dudit says, save the world. And it says, no, not save the girl. Oh, it says, save the world. He goes, is to gay. And they think he's saying mystery. But obviously, he knew even back then about Mr. Grey. Did Dudit. And I suppose there's a reason for that. Anyway, they use Pete's powers, there we go, to search for poor Josie Rinkenhauer. So off they go. This is where they learn that they're now connected and they can read each other's minds and other people's minds. This is where it's a bit like Stand By Me, where the red fern grows. I have no idea. Anyway, they do find her. She's trapped down this pipe. There we go. They call down. She does answer. It doesn't actually show them rescuing her. There is a deleted scene. I didn't watch all the deleted scenes, so I didn't see it. There's a deleted scene where it shows them with her, after they've pulled her out of the pipe. So they do get her. They save her. And everything's cool. They're heroes. Young lads are heroes. Maybe the cosmic turtle told him. Maybe so. Pardon me. Right. He's trudging through the forest. This is the Millers. Is Owen and Curtis, Colonel Curtis, heading to the alien crash site. There we see there's where it's crashed through. It's like where the Enterprise D's saucer section went gouging through that mountain on Viridian 3. Anyway, right. So they're heading there, and then they start hearing voices in their heads saying, we're injured, we're hurt, please help. And it said, who's that on the radio? So it's not on the radio. They're implanting these thoughts into your heads to make them think that they're harmless. So anyway, they see the alien ship. It's supposed to be like an invasion, but I don't. It's weird. They've got an alien. They've got a spaceship, but yet they're like using, I don't know, the red weed. I don't know. It's too confusing for a thicko like me. Anyway, there we go. We get a view there. No infection here. We are helpless. I had a bit of a Mandela effect here. I'm sure when I first watched it, they looked like normal people. But then as the helicopters approached, they turned into that. But I didn't see that on this version. So maybe it's just a Mandela effect and I'm just remembering incorrectly. Or there's a different version out there. I don't know. Anyway, we see the Mr. Grey A's, but then the change into the Mr. Grey B's as they go scurrying off. And there we go. Fire at will. Poor Will. Oh, there's a view of the alien spaceship that obviously crashed. There you go. The shooting away. Let him rip with his what they call it, minigun. And they do die. They're not impregnable. They're not invincible. But anyway, they all get back into. They all go run into their spaceship, and they're gonna basically self-destruct it. Because they know that they're done for. There you go. It's gonna blow, and some of the helicopters don't get out of the way. They become, caught by the blast. Anyway, right. Jonesy, Mr. Grey, and Pete are on the snowmobile. This is it. And Pete's like pushing Jonesy or Mr. Grey. And this is a bit that I don't get. I'm confused. Because as we see here, it says, all right, Pete, I'll bite your, because he tells him, bite my ball bag. So I'll bite your bag and everything else. And he turns round. There you go. He's changed into the Mr. Grey bee. And I don't know how. Because he's supposed to be inside Jonesy, isn't he? I don't know. I don't get it. There's Jonesy watching from his memory warehouse as Pete is being killed, consumed by Mr. Grey, who then turns back into Jonesy again. And I don't understand the mechanics of that. Anyway. Right, so there you go. He's arrived at the road. He's going to make this truck stop, I think, or a car that comes along. Oh, it's a car, isn't it? Or a small truck that comes along. It's actually, I think it's a military truck. It's heading for the quarantine zone. There you go. He's got a dog and he's got a gun. It looks familiar. I've seen him in something. I've seen him in Battlestar Galactica or something like that. Does it say? Does it say who he is? Hang on, have a look. I don't know, because I don't know the character's name, because he's only in it for this bit. But he does look familiar. And I don't know. What does it say? Truck driver or something, maybe. I have no idea. Don't know, because I don't know the character. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Ty Olsen. What have I seen him in? There, right, let's open that up. I bet he's been in loads of stuff. Bet he has. X-Men 2, War for the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Chronicles of Riddick. He's been in loads of stuff. Supernatural. What else? Continuum, which I didn't really watch. Oh, there's been in loads of stuff. We were in Godzilla, the 2014 Godzilla, which I really like. Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome. That might be where I remember him from. Oh, we're in Arrow as well. Has he been in... I bet he's been in Stargate. If we go down, I bet he's been in Stargate. Because filmed in Canada, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Let's go down. Maybe not. Oh, yes, Stargate SG-1. He played Colonel Barnes and Jafar Number 1. 2 episodes. So there you go. So he has been in Stargate. That might be where I recognise him from. Right. Back to the film. Maybe he loses concentration to camouflage whilst eating. I don't know. Is he camouflaged? I don't know, because he went into Jonesy, didn't he? The mist. The red mist went into Jonesy, and he said he were borrowing him. He were borrowing Jonesy's body. So he could get to Massachusetts, undetected. I don't get how he could just change back. What happens to Jonesy's body? I don't get it. It's not explained. Anyway. So Senor, hello. Oh, that's a good-looking dog. I'm afraid I've had an accident and I need to get to wherever. And he says, but I do believe you're speaking proper posh accent. I do believe your tailgate has come open. So he says, all right, we'll go and take a look. And then he gets him. Turns into Mr. Grey again and gets the poor Stargate actor. And then he's somehow he's got a deer in the back. Maybe it were in there already. Maybe we're taking the deer, into the base or whatever, to be burnt or whatever, because it's all the deer's all covered in the red weed, and he's getting the dog to eat it or eat all the red stuff. I think the dog's got a name. I think he's mentioned it, but I've forgotten what it is. Anyway, so the dog's eating all the red stuff. We know what's going to happen to the dog, don't we? Oh, and while that's happening, while he's occupied, while Mr. Grey's occupied doing all this, obviously he's not in the memory warehouse. So Jonesy takes the opportunity to go running out of his secret room, get all his Duddits boxes, and stash them into the secret room, and he just makes it. I'm going to show it. There you go, Jonesy. So it's coming now. He's Mr. Grey is going to come down the staircase, whatever. I don't understand why he's like limping, but it's in his head. So in his head, is he injured? He's like visualises himself as injured. In your head, you can be anything, can't you? I'd be like bloody Superman. There it goes. He's going down. Anyway, just makes it in time. Because Mr. Grey can't get into the secret room for some reason. Right, what's happening here? This is Henry, innit? He's on skis now. Look, he's on skis heading across country. But he gets caught by the army. There we go. Or the military. They're separate to the army. I think they're their own thing. So there we go. So they've captured him. Right, so Morgan Freeman and Tom Sizemore are going to look in the barn, and we're going to see all the infected townsfolk. There they all are, basically being held like cattle. And I think that basically they're just going to kill them all, I think. But Owen's having differing thoughts about, second thoughts about how to handle this. And he's saying we need doctors in there. But that's not what Colonel Curtis wants to happen. I think he's just basically going to kill them all. They're probably the NID. You've mentioned them before and I've forgotten. I've forgotten. But you have mentioned them before. I'm hopeless. And Henry's using his powers to listen in on what Owen and Colonel Curtis are talking about. But right. Anyway, so he's saying Colonel Curtis that if it wasn't for him, this country would be overrun by these aliens, and he's the only one that can stop them and all that stuff. Oh, NID. All right. So didn't use capitals, you see. Stargate. Yes, the NID. Yes. Oh dear. Yes, they probably are the NID. Yeah. I'm sure I must be thinking of something else when you said NID. Anyway, just shows I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, right. It talks about the greatest fear is that they can round the townsfolk up, but their greatest fear is a hitchhiker, somebody outside of their control. So anyway, pardon me. So he's determined to do the job right. So that's what they're going to do. And they said the idea of slaughtering Americans, makes his stomach turn. But that's what he's going to do. But he'll do it because it needs to be done. Right. Henry has a word with Owen, who just happens to be walking by there. And he starts telling him, about his wife and his daughter and all that stuff. What would she know and all that? What would she think if she knew all about, what he'd done? And they said, how do you know? Do I know you? And all that. And he's telling him, Colonel Curtis has gone crazy. He's been fighting these aliens for so long. He's gone crazy. And I was going to kill all these innocent people. Anyway, he basically he talks him round. So what he needs to do, what Henry needs to do, is looking for his friend Jonesy. He needs to catch up to him so he can establish contact and find out where they're going. So that's what he needs to do. He's suggesting to him that he gets in contact also with General Matheson and get him here to take over from Colonel Curtis because he's gone doolally. He's talking about Gary. He's got to find him. So, right. So they've got a plan. So anyway, he's saying that he's got to go talk to Henry. He's got information. He's had him taken to the tractor shed. But it's all a ruse. And he's going to come and break him out. So here he is. So they breaks him with his... Is it a Hummer or something? I don't know. And they break it. Owen and Henry break out and they drive off. General Matheson arrives with his soldiers and assumes command of the base and takes over from Colonel Curtis. So the people in the barn are safe hopefully. Right. He gets in touch with. Listen, he needs to get in range of Jonesy. To speak to him, basically find out where they're going. Right, what happens here? The dog's obviously it's got one of the things inside it. And he says he got his gun out as Owen, and he says, "Oh, that's a nice gun. Can I have a look?" So he gives him it, takes the clip out, and gives him it, and he's looking at it, and then he suddenly gets in contact with. He says, "All right, come on, Jonesy, ring whatever." Does it say? Hang on. Just a minute. I need to find that line because it tells the number. There we go. Call 1-800-HENRY. And then in the memory warehouse, obviously it gets through. There's the signal, the psychic signal. It gets through to Jonesy because as he looks round, he sees no phone on the desk there. But then as he turns round, there's an old phone there. So he phones 1-800-HENRY, and then we hear ring. It says ring. We hear a phone ringing, and it's the gun. So he puts the gun to his ear, and he's talking to Jonesy. Jonesy says he's heading to Massachusetts, but Henry needs to go and get Duddits. So that's what they're gonna do. And said, how can Jonesy, resist Mr. Gray? And they said because he died. He died twice. When he was hit, so he thinks that something about that has made him, immune or whatever to Mr. Gray's influence. Anyway, so they're going to go for Duddits and then head for the water treatment plant near Derry, or near Boston, or whatever it is. This is where we first meet Donny Wahlberg as grown-up Duddits. There he is. And we learn he's got a form of leukemia or something like that. And he's dying. He ain't got long left. This is his mother. So they're all, he's happy to see him. He hasn't seen him for a long time. And his mother's ready. She knows that, she said, Duddits has been so excited. He knew you were coming and all that. So it's all been prepared. And this always sets me off as well. There you go. She's putting his medications in his Scooby-Doo lunchbox, and she's prepared to let him go. She says, if he goes with, she knows he's going to die. If he goes with Henry's friend and his other friends, he'll die happy rather than in this horrible room. So there you go. So she's prepared. So they say goodbye. It sets me off every time. There you go. Anyway, off they go. Then we see his gun. We're looking at Owen's gun, and Henry intuited that it were a gift, and we learned that it was a gift off Colonel Curtis. Then we see like a what do you call it? An X-ray of the gun, and we see it's got a circuit board in it, so he's being tracked. Colonel Curtis is tracking Owen. He knows where he is. Looks even on a map. So there goes on the I-95, heading towards Massachusetts, and the Bee Gees probably. Right, Colonel Matheson has arrived. Here he is. Not Colonel, General Matheson has arrived, and he's basically just telling him that he's saying, yes, okay, I'm past it, I'm retiring anyway, good luck and all that, and I agree, and I'm a good soldier, blah blah blah. So it says, I'll have all my stuff shut down in an hour, but he's got a plan, he's got something he's going to do. Right, what happens here now? Yes, he's crashed it. I can't remember what happened now. That were it. Let's go back here. Earlier on, when they're in the truck that he stole, the army truck. They came to another snowdrift. Remember earlier on with the snowdrift and to power through it. They're headed towards a snowdrift, and is it something else? I can't remember now. No, that's later on. So I'm getting confused now. No, this is, I think Jonesy just distracted Mr. Gray, and I can't remember how, and basically made him crash. He skidded off the road. That was it. So he's got to get another vehicle. And as luck would have it, a police car comes along. There we go, sirens wailing, whoop whoop. And there we go. The poor policeman has been got by Mr. Gray because he can just change at will now. Don't understand it. So he's got the dog in the police car, and there he's talking to Jonesy, gloating basically. They're heading towards they're heading after him, and this is where he tells him that he's in a police car now. Duddits just knows because he's super psychic. Says he's in a police car. There's little flashbacks where he's remembering about how he mentioned Mr. Gray, Easter Gray, back when they were kids. So they knew even back then. It's all about destiny. Oh, pardon me. And there we go. Mr. Gray wants water. He's going to, so this is where we learn, he's going to the water treatment plant. And he said, one worm can take over the world. So if one of them worms gets into the water supply, it'll spread and infect everywhere. So, right. So that's where they're heading. Take the 495 to the Mass Pike. So there we go. So I think Dudley's going to try and talk to Mr. Gray. But anyway. I don't know if he gets through or not. I can't actually remember. But anyway, then it cuts to obviously the sun's coming up now. Morgan Freeman's basically stealing his own helicopter, the one he were in earlier on with the minigun on. Oh, painless. So he's stealing that helicopter. It's obviously caused some sort of distraction, and he takes off in that. And off he goes. He's got his little tracking device as well. Going after Owen. There we go. The Quabbin Reservoir. That's Quabin or Quabbin, whatever. That's where they're headed. Right. This is where he says, power through, and you can power through your pussy, and so he does, and then it basically just crashes the car. There you go. Punch it, dude. You're only a pussy. Whatever. You know what I mean. But it goes wrong, and he crashes the car, and Jones is laughing in Mr. Gray's head. There you go. But anyway, they're there anyway. There's the helicopter coming after them. Jones is carrying the poor dog on his shoulders, and he can't get in. The door's locked, obviously. So just smashes the window and gets in that way. I think this is supposed to be his wife. Was it Katrina that we called her earlier on? And he's got a wife and a daughter. She's obviously a pilot as well. But anyway. So they've arrived, after Jones is there. And Owen says, I'll have to go in. I'm going to have to kill him, basically. You know that, don't you? I'm going to have to kill him, Jonesy. There's no two ways about it. So he's going in. Gets a machine gun out the back of his car. So he's saying, so long, doctor. So you and Duddits wait here. So anyway, meanwhile inside, Jones is trying to get this big manhole cover open to, let the creatures down into the water supply. So he's heading towards that. An MP5, it is. That's an MP5. See, I know guns. I know that's an MP5. You know how I know? Because I made one out of foam for my SG3 cosplay. Anyway. So here he is doing being his soldier thing. But then the helicopter arrives, here it is, and starts shooting at him with his minigun. Like that. So he's got to deal, instead of dealing with bloody Mr. Gray, he's got to deal with Colonel Curtis. There we go. He can hear all this going on, but, he's got to get this manhole cover off, because it's super heavy. Obviously not made of wood, like the like the ones in Escape from New York. Anyway, so he's shooting at him, and they got out of the police car, not the police car, the car, and ducked for cover. because he was strafing. Oh, and he hits him with the minigun. You think to cut him in half, wouldn't you? But he's hurt. I must admit, he's hurt. Anyway, so he's still shooting away, and then even he runs out of them, so he gets bullets for that. So he gets his gun that were a gift from Colonel Curtis. Remember, gets that out. That does the trick. He shoots that. There you go. Hits a couple of times. Then he hits the tail rotor, and he says, "You son of a bitch," or words to that effect. And it goes down and crashes. There you go, like that. Behind trees. Helicopters always crash behind trees, don't they? So there we go. So that's the end of Colonel Curtis. Right, anyway, finally, I think, gets this off. I do believe, in a minute. But he's got to go and find Owen. Owen's dead, look. He's passed away in the snow. But he did save him. So he picks up the machine gun. There's Henry. And Henry tells Duddits to go and, to wait in the car. He'd be safer. Obviously, that's not going to happen, is it? But and off he goes to the building. Right, he finally gets the manhole cover open. And then there's here chirping because there's a creature coming out of the there it is, out of the dog's bum. Poor doggy. So here it is. Hang on, I've gone too far. Just as Henry comes in with his machine gun, and the creature, quite comical actually. This, it launches itself at him, and he catches it with his gun. Look, hang on, I'm going to show it. Oh, yeah, try shooting it and misses because he's useless. As I would be. And then it launches itself at him like that, and it just it just goes on the end of his gun, so he just pulls the trigger and just kills it. You can't even find the trigger, look. I'd be the same, I would. There we go, that's shoots it, there we go. So that one's dead, but that's not the end of the story. Anyway, so then we hear Jonesy's voice in his American accent saying, "I knew you wouldn't let me die," but obviously Henry doesn't know if it's Jonesy or Mr. Gray, because we'd heard Mr. Gray earlier on doing an impression of Jonesy, with his American accent. So that's, so he doesn't know if it's him or Mr. Gray. So this is where he asks him, tell me something that only, we'd know. And this is where the no bounce, no play and stuff like that comes in. But then we see what's left of the shit weasel, an egg rolls out. I'm going to show it, there we go. Just like what happened with the Sci-Fi Quest, if you're still watching, probably in. Just like what happened with the Queen alien on the Sulaco, it had one up there already, look, and just rolled out. Oh dear. So there we go, that egg rolls out. So they're talking away. Yes. Tell me something Mr. Gray couldn't possibly know. And it mentions SSDD, but says that's not good enough. There you go. And then I think it does the no bounce, no play thing. I think it's that. There you go. What's painted on the wall by the window? There we go. No bounce, no play. And in comes Duddits, Istagay. So they're now going to have a fight. I don't really understand it. Now I want egg rolls. Something I've never had. He can't shoot. He's getting ready to shoot him, but he can't because the gun's jammed or out of bullets or whatever. So Jonesy turns into Mr. Gray, as you can see. Look, there we go, and basically picks up Duddits and throws him to the ground and stabs him and all this stuff. There he goes, throws him to the ground. By the way, there you go. The worm that will kill the world is heading for the water. He's going to stab Duddits now, which he does. He stabbed Duddits with his big spiky tail like that. Notice there's no blood. But then we see something else happen now. as the creature's roaring and thinks it's victorious, because Duddits just grabs hold of it. And then, in a minute, yes, that was it. I forgot that what happened. It didn't turn in, Jonesy didn't turn into Mr. Grey. It actually came out of him this time. The red mist came back out and then formed into Mr. Grey. I don't understand the mechanics of it. I don't get it. Hang on. See, I've missed it. All right, I've gone too far now. Look. Duddits turns into... We learn that Duddits is an alien, look. There we go. Duddits does not a great CG morph into an alien. Similar but different to the Mr. Grey ones. As we'll see. There we go. Similar, but it does have a tail spike, just the same. So they must be related. There must be a related species, maybe. So he stabs Mr. Grey, and I think then they all kind of explode into. It like forms like this weird net around him for some reason. There we go, like that. And then it all starts all glowing. I don't know. And then they all explode into stuff, into CG mist, into a particle effect that also has a Dreamcatcher floating about in it. It's not the best, is it? It's like, why did they go with this ending? There's actually another ending, an alternate ending, where Duddits defeats Mr. Grey, but as Duddits and not as an alien. They went with the Duddits as an alien as well. Or has he just been possessed by an alien all his life? Dunno. I mean, I like to think that maybe he's what's the term? A walking. I've heard this before. Have you heard of the black-eyed children and things like that? In UFO lore, there's some people that think they have essentially got the soul of an alien inside them, or whatever, and they're called walk-ins at the point of birth or whatever, or conception, or what, I don't know. An alien soul, a bit like the Minbari and human souls, but an alien soul will come into their minds. And was Duddits like that when he were born? An alien soul entered him, but a good alien. Anyway, there we go, and goes out the window. It must be safe now. So there we go. So Duddits is no more. And then Jonesy says H, so obviously that shows that he is Jonesy, because only Jonesy calls Henry H. Or is it H? You don't pronounce the H in H, do you? Like in hour, you don't pronounce the H. You don't say a hour, do you? Or a herb. It's weird, isn't it? Hang on. But then, so he knows that they've won. But then just as the little worm is about to get into the water, Jonesy squashes it with his foot. There we go. And that's how the bloody film ends. Jonesy. And that's how it ends. There you go. Oh, then it cuts to, just a scene of them round the table showing us them. One last view of the Losers Club, which is essentially what it is, isn't it? There, but that's it. That's the end of the film. That's it. I really like it, although the ending's a bit hokey. I still really like the film. I think it's an underrated Stephen King adaptation. I think with some great acting in it. Great acting in it, particularly from Damian Lewis, who is a good actor anyway. We know he's a good actor. Particularly in Band of Brothers. But anyway, so there we go. That's the end of Dreamcatcher. The world is saved again, but I still don't understand how it worked. When the red mist went into him, but then he could turn into Mr. Grey, but Mr. Grey could come out of him and become Mr. Grey. But I know when it got Pete and the policeman and the the other fella, the army truck driver, the SG1 character. It didn't come out of him as a mist and turn into Mr. Grey there, because it was in his hood. He lifted his hood up every time, and he became Mr. Grey. I don't understand it, but anyway. Does King like this one? Yes, he does. I think it says somewhere. Where have I seen it? There we go. At the time of its release, Stephen King praised the film, stating, "This is one of the very, very good adaptations of my work," he said. There was something else I highlighted somewhere, and I forgot what it was. I did highlight something. Can't remember. That might have been the Malcolm McDowell thing. They were doing an impression of Malcolm McDowell. And Thomas Jane starred in this film because his mother told him to do it. He said he'd been offered a role as in Dreamcatcher, and his mother's a big fan of Stephen King. Said, "Well, you've got to play Henry." So he says, "So that's why I'm playing Henry in this film, because my mother told me to." Stephen King sold the movie rights for this for $1. Pardon me. Is he mad? He were already rich, wasn't he? Yeah, it must have been that. I thought I'd highlighted something else. Never mind. The flashback scene where the boys first meet Duddits' tracker brothers from the Stephen King film It 1990, which also takes place in Derry. I meant to check and I forgot. Where were we? Anything else? No, that's about it. As I said, it was filmed in. It wasn't filmed in Maine. It was filmed in British Columbia. But anyway, so there we go. Right. Press wrong button again. That's it. I really like that film. I think it's a cool film. I'm glad I've got it on Blu-ray. I think it's, as I said, I think it's underrated. It's a shame it didn't do well. I can see why it didn't do well. I think it's too long for a start. It's 2.25 hours, which is too long for this sort of film. Hour and 45 at most. They could have knocked half an hour off. But with all the backstory and all that, it worked better as a mini-series. A 3-hour mini-series, 2 90-minute episodes on TV. There's 2 films, 2 90-minute films. Dreamcatcher Part 1 and Part 2. But maybe they weren't into that back in 2003. But anyway, it's still worth a watch. It is. It is really, really worth a watch. So give it a whirl. Right. We'll leave it there. So what's coming up next? Let me have a look. Tomorrow is May the 25th. Be with you. Star Wars Day. Proper Star Wars Day. So tomorrow for a special episode of Magnificent Mondays. We're doing the theatrical version of Star Wars, the one that came out in 1977, not A New Hope, just Star Wars, that what does it say there? Can you see it? It's going to focus. The original, come on, focus. Whatever, the original theatrical version. It's not focusing, is it? Never mind. That's what we're watching tomorrow. Not watching, we're going to explore it and try and remember all the Star Wars facts that everybody knows. Like that it was Ben Kenobi that murdered Owen and Beru and killed all those Jawas. Stuff like that. New Doctor Who in an hour for you to avoid. I won't be watching that. I won't watch. I'll watch your review if you do a review. Anyway, Sunday. Yeah, I don't know. There might be a sketch time, or there might not. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. I'll not set a stream up, but there might be a sketch time on Sunday. There might not. If there isn't one, so what? But on Monday, this week's Magnificent Monday is Commando. Yay, with Schwarzenegger. I know Josh Kanapki's looking forward to this one. So we'll be doing that on Monday. And I haven't decided. No, I have. I have decided what next week's Appointment with Fear is. Yes, that's that one. There we go. Next week's Friday Night Appointment with Fear is going to be Overlord. Yay! Which is basically Wolfenstein. But that's next week. Right. Wingers says, I'm cautiously optimistic since I like horror in little towns, but we'll see. Oh, yes, it's that 73 yards one, isn't it? Do you know what? I might watch it. I might put it on to see what happens. Yeah. See what happens. Because it's supposed to be a super duper villain, isn't it? So we'll see. See what happens. I might, but it still might annoy me and I might turn it off. But anyway. Right, we'll leave it there. So thanks, Wingrace, for keeping me company, and Sci-Fi Quest, and Josh Kanapke, who were busy at work, keeping a roof over his head. Thanks for keeping me company, and thanks for the millions watching around the world as we went through Dreamcatcher. What else? I've got I'm ordered down to Joshua Kanapke's told me I've got to find other public domain films for us to just sit and watch and talk over. Like we did with House on Haunted Hill the other day. Right. Even last episode, which I really liked, started out a bit annoying. Anyway, but that's Doctor Who. Right, we'll leave it there. So, thanks for... hang on. Dawn of the Dead. Well, actually, Dawn of the Dead's not public domain, but Night of the Living Dead from 1968 is public domain, and I'm saving that for Halloween. We're going to do a Friday Night Appointment with Fear whenever it's round about Halloween. I don't know what date falls on this year, but we're going to do I might even do it on Halloween night. I don't know. Whatever day it's on. I'm going to do I'm going to do Night of the Living Dead there. We're just going to watch it, and I'm going to talk over it and get everybody annoyed. That's what I meant. Yeah. But that's going to be Halloween. And coming up on the 4th, well, whatever's closest to the 4th of July for Magnificent Monday, I'm going to be doing Independence Day. So that's my plan. 4th of July is Independence Day. Maybe a double bill. Maybe a double bill with Independence Day Resurgence. Maybe not. I haven't made up my mind. And then Halloween is going to be Night of the Living Dead. The original. That we're just going to watch. And not go through in a series of stills. Because it annoys people. I even got a comment on one of my videos today. Saying, why are you even talking? Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Bet there is some trashy old sci-fi you could find. I bet there is. I'll look. Like I said, I've done me in magical monochromes on Patreon. I just play the film and we just watch the film and I'm talking. Probably getting on your nerves. But you can get away with that on Patreon sometimes. So, but I can't put them on YouTube normally because they usually get some sort of copyright strike. But if I find one that's public domain, it's just finding one that's public domain. Then I can put them on YouTube. Right, I'm done. We'll leave it there. So, thanks for watching, and wherever you are, don't have nightmares. And until next time, I'll say there.